Welcome back. This is week 8 in a unending series of videos on my journey to mastery of 10 languages. Every single week I put out a video basically talking about what I've been doing that week in making progress in various languages. My native language is obviously English, and I'm learning French, German, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, Dutch, Swedish, Russian, and Chinese. And I've achieved some knowledge of each of these languages to varying extents, and I'm making these series of videos until the day when I get to at least a C2 level, or more pragmatically speaking, to a complete mastery of it, if that day in fact ever occurs. So I have been focusing on my Russian, just like I was in previous recent weeks. And I actually stopped reading as much after the first couple of days, after Monday, Tuesday, simply because I found myself a bit burnt out. And I found that because I if you just look at the name of my channel, I love reading so much, it was very easy for me to start reading more and more and do less and less of everything else. And when you learn a language, you have reading, you have doing grammar exercises or learning the strict rules of the language, speaking, listening, writing to a certain extent, yes, especially if that's something that's important for you if you want to go study in university. And it's easy to focus on one, and it's hard to have this balanced diet of everything at once and not start leaning too far in one direction. And I started leaning too far in the reading direction, and it was fine, but then I realized I had this huge pile of new cards in my Anki deck for Russian that I hadn't started adding in, that I hadn't started learning. And these are many words that are important, and that will in the future help me, in fact, read more easily. So I was reading on my phone and on my computer, and I had access to a dual language version of a book, so I was very easily able to compare paragraph by paragraph each of the Russian and English versions of the text. And the result was that it was very pleasurable to read and not that difficult. But of course, there are many words that I don't know. And so every single time I get to a word, I am able to look. But in the long run, I want to be able to read Russian books that don't necessarily have translations in English or have dual language versions of the book. So I can't always rely on that. And to that end, I need to learn all of those words and be able to recall them without the aid of a translation. So the last few days, I've been doing a lot of that, and I am sort of excited to say that I'm going to be going to a Russian bookstore this afternoon, hopefully just before it closes, depending on the time. I have previously bought Russian books by ordering them online and had them delivered, and it took a while and it cost money for the delivery. It was from another city about 600 kilometers away. And it's hard to find Russian books on Amazon where delivery is free. So the Russian selection on Amazon Canada is very poor. But I found a Russian bookshop in Montreal, not that far from another place that I'm going to be at anyway this evening. And I'm going to go there and give it a try. I called them ahead of time because often there used to be an Italian bookstore in my city in Montreal, in Little Italy, and it cost me $45 for a 250-page murder mystery. 45 Canadian dollars, about $36 American. So it wasn't very reasonable. I mean, it was completely ridiculous. So I called them ahead of time to actually find out whether these books are going to cost me $50 or whether they're going to cost me $18, $19. And as far as the lady on the other end of the line seemed to indicate, it will be regular-ish price books, which is fantastic because that cuts down on price so much. And it obviously they're going to have all the classics, all the Dostoevskys and Chekhovs and what have you, and that's going to help me quite a bit because I love reading. And my plan is for next week to start doing less Anki in Russian, fewer new words, and instead to start focus on speaking. So I do have an italki tutor that I have used and I used up all the lessons that I had, and I'm going to buy a new package. Russian tutors are fantastically inexpensive online, especially compared to, say, Dutch or Swedish. I imagine because wages are lower in Russia, and so it is not going to break the bank for me to buy a huge number of hours. I like to go for about 45-minute lessons because it's short, so that I don't have to dread having to do it, but at the same time, it's longer than half an hour, which I find once you get through introductions and so on, you barely have any time to do anything. My goal for April, I have about 20 days left, is to get to the point where I can read a hard, serious book in Russian without needing a dual language version of the text, and to be able to read it well enough that I can actually enjoy it. So I hope I get to that point. In terms of all the other languages, my Chinese is still regressing. I had all those HSK 1 through 6 words in my head, and they're slowly sort of seeping out the back door. But I'm planning to focus on Chinese only in the summer. And in the other languages, I mean, I watch things every day on YouTube. And with what opportunities I do have, which is where I live is mainly French and Spanish and a bit of German, I do speak those languages when I can. But for languages like Dutch, it's difficult because it's very easy to get out of the habit of reading and watching a lot. And I don't have enough time to read and watch a lot in every language. Obviously, mathematically, that would require me to do nothing else with my day whatsoever. So it's getting challenging, but I'm hoping that if I keep doing some basic maintenance, that in the future I'll be able to catch up whatever I've lost fairly quickly. That's it for today, and I'm going to post a couple more videos this week on a few other thoughts I had about language learning. Thank you very much.